Fellow traders, I just want to show you this entry I took. I just want to show you this entry I just took on volatility index. Like you can see, I just took an entry on volatility 5 index, right? I'm not even taking stop loss yet on it. Right, so I'm going to take a stop loss first before explanations. So why did I take this trade? I took this trade because of the bullish engulfing stop. Right, right. Alright, I'm taking this trade because I took this trade because of the bullish engulfing candlestick setup. So this is this is actually a high probability setup. This is actually a high probability setup. I will say why. I will explain why. I will explain why it is a high probability setup. Alright, so like you can see, I took multiple positions on it because I feel it's a high probability setup. Right, so I took several positions, about 8 entries. Right, I just want to compound profits accordingly. Just want to compound profits on this accordingly. Right. Right, so I'm just trying to enter the stop losses. I just want to enter the stop losses accordingly. Alright, so this is it. Like I always said, I candlesticks a lot in my trading when making trading decisions. I consider candlesticks a lot. So we could actually see what candlestick we have here. We could actually see what candlestick pattern we have. Um, this candlestick pattern is actually a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. It's actually a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. Alright, so basically for that, I took a buy accordingly. Well, looking through, I feel the price already made a balance on this moving average. The price already made a balance on this moving average. Like you can see, I made odds. So I feel that it foundation around this zone, these points became a support. These points became a support. It's actually a support, like we can see. So there was a moving average, and price took a hit from that point. So basically, for that, I see that a bullish engulfing pattern was formed around that position. It's actually an alert for me to consider a buy from that point. So I just considered a buy from that point, right? So I just took a buy from that point. You can see my stop loss accordingly. So I'm gonna and see what becomes of it. So like I always say, when we see our setup is around 90 to 95% accurate, but that doesn't mean that it is guaranteed, right? So 95% of the time it goes our way, right? Once we find our setup, right? So our job is to take our entry. We're looking for setups to trade. We take entries, our stop loss, and allow the market to do its part. We just found a position we want to trade. We've just found a profitable setup for us to trade. So once I see my profitable setup, the next thing for me is to take my entry, right? I place my stop loss underneath at the right level and I allow it play out. I do not have an influence over the market, right? I only know a profitable setup, a setup that I can actually trade and make profits from, right? And I know that 90 to 95% of the time it will go my way. 25% of the time it will go my way. So for the other 5 to 10% of the time when it won't go my way, I have my stop loss, right, protected, right? So come what may, there is a stop loss underneath to hold the trade back. So you can actually see how the trade is doing. You can actually see how the trade is doing. I took a multiple entry on this one because I want to compound profit, as I feel that this setup is a high probability setup. It's actually a high probability setup because of the level where the this candlestick was formed, right? Because of the level where this candlestick was formed. So this candlestick pattern was formed. So I'm just gonna hold this for a bit and just allow time do its part. Only time will tell. Only time will tell if I'm wrong or if I'm right. Right. So, but I am, but I am hopeful that I am right because I know that price will go my way because I've just found my setup and my setups are 90 to 95% accurate. Right. Where it doesn't go my way, then I have my stop loss. Right. But I believe it's gonna go my way accordingly because this is a precise entry, right? I waited for this setup. It is not in, it is intentional. I did not trade out of chance. No, I just waited for the setup. I waited for the setup. I made sure I got what I was looking for. I waited for the market to come to me, and when the market came to me by giving me this high probability setup, which is a a bullish engulfing pattern, I have taken my trades accordingly, and I'm having my fingers crossed. Let's see how it plays out. I'm going to continually show you the progress of this trade accordingly, right? Right. So, well, if you're a first-time viewer of this channel, I urge you to subscribe to the channel so you will never miss any of my content because all of my content will always be educative, right? Always going to be educative. My goal for setting up this channel is to educate trading enthusiasts on how to trade profitably with low risk, low calculated risk, right? And you can actually, if you're following me and replicate what I do on your trades too, you will always maximize profit accordingly. So fingers crossed. Let's see how this plays out. I'm going to pause this video and I will resume after so we could actually watch the progress together accordingly. Thank you very much. Okay, fellow traders, you can see how the last 1 hour candle closed. You can see how the last 1 hour candle closed. Sure, you can see. Right, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Hoping for price to break resistance. I'm strongly hoping that price will break resistance. So fingers crossed. Let's see what becomes of the price accordingly. Right. So you can see how the last 1 hour candle, right? So you can see. I'm sure this setup is very clear. You could see the entries. These are the entries. Right, these are the entries. Sure, you can see the entries. These are the entries. Several entries I took, and this is where I positioned the stop loss. This is where I positioned my stop loss. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So I positioned my stop loss here because I'm following a rule called rule of thumb. The rule of thumb states that you should position your stop loss at a level, at a price level, where your stop loss can only be struck when your analysis is wrong, right? Please position your stop loss at a price level where it can only be struck when your entire analysis is wrong. So you can see the distance from my entry to my stop loss. So the market means that price has all of this area to breathe even if there is a retracement, right? When there is a retracement, my stop loss can be struck like that. My stop loss can be smashed like that only if my analysis is wrong, right? So even if a retracement happens and price comes and price choose to retrace a bit before it continues to buy, which I strongly doubt. But even if it does that, it's gonna make this setup stronger. Even if it does that, it's gonna make this setup stronger. Alright, so even if this happens, it's not gonna go near my stop loss. Why? Because I have followed the rule of thumb. I'll follow the rule of thumb. Fingers crossed. Let's wait and see how this trade will manifest. Right? Let's see how this trade will manifest. Only time will tell. Only time can tell. I've done my bit. I have found my setup. I have found my setup, and I feel this setup is a very strong, high probability setup. It's a very strong setup. So I just found it, like like you can see the areas I shaded. That is a strong setup. So I've just taken my entries accordingly. I've positioned my stop loss at the right position. So my job now is done. It's left for the market to do its part. It's left for the market to do its part. No matter how it is right now, I cannot force the market. Right, I have just taken my setup, so I cannot force the market to move to the direction it wants. I've already foresaw the direction the market will move to. Right, so my job is to take entry and wait. My job is to take entry and be patient. Be patient. Build the right trading psychology. Most of us, is not as if we do not know all of these things, but just lack of patience. Impatience is actually affecting our trade, probably because we are not patient people in real life. So in trading, it's affecting us. It's affecting us. So if you've seen your setup, taking your setup, your next thing is to wait in as much as you know the strategy you're trading. Right. So my job right now is done. It's for the market to do its part. My job is done, so I'm just gonna wait. So I'll pause this video right here and I'll resume in a bit to show you the progress of this trade accordingly. Thank you. My account looks like now. You could see what the trades look like. Sure, you can see it look like I will break resistance. I said I believed price. You can actually see what I meant manifesting. This is what I meant manifesting. That price successfully broke resistance. Exactly. So you could see what I'm sitting on right now. Right. So this is high probability trading. High probability trading. Right. So as a good trader, you should know when to be greedy. Right. There's this theorem, this trading theorem that states that you should be greedy when others are fearful, and you should be fearful when others are greedy. Right. So being conscious of the number of trades to take are very important. Right. Following risk management, isn't it? But that doesn't mean that if you know your setups, at, at the tip of your fingers, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go all in and take the market by the horn. So that is what I just did. I know when to be greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. That was the rule I followed here. So you could actually see, right? So it all manifested in front of us. The entries very precise. You could accurate. So all of these things are intentional. These trades are intentional. I foresaw it from the beginning. I foresaw what was going to happen from the beginning, right? So I didn't just take a random trade. I waited for the right opportunity, right, before I pulled the trigger, right? And you can see that I actually compounded the entries. I took several entries at the same time because I wanted to take the best advantage of the market as I can, right? So this is how it is. It is what it is. I'm just gonna pause this here. I'll resume in a bit, so we'll see the outcome of this. I'm going to pause this here and resume in a bit. So you can actually see that, or it worth the wait. I waited for several hours, all of these hours, because I knew that I was expecting something big. I waited for all of these hours, right, before the market event. I didn't just jump into a random price. No, I waited for things to be. I waited for entries, my entries. I waited to see my setup. I didn't just jump into the market. I waited for these setups. So when my price was falling, I was patiently waiting because I know what I was expecting, the move I was expecting the market to make. I knew the move I was expecting the market to make. So when it got to that point and gave me the move, I compounded my entries accordingly. Right, fingers crossed. I'm still gonna hold some more. I'm holding this some more. Yeah, I'm holding it some more. I'm gonna pause here and maybe resume later to show you the progress of this trade. Right, I'm not done with this yet. I'm not just gonna fearfully close this trade yet. I'm just gonna hold for a bit, right, and resume afterwards and see. We'll all see the situation of this trade accordingly, right? So we can see the remarkable move the market has made from entry. You can see the remarkable move the market has made from entry, right? The market has made some good moves from entry, right? And I'm expecting a bullish run. I'm expecting a bullish run, right? Price, worst that could happen would be a slight retracement of price, then to find a balance, then there will be a bullish shoot. Then that would be in a worst case scenario. Else I see price running accordingly because the bulls look very strong in this market. The bulls are looking really very strong in this market, right? I urge you to, if you're first time viewer of this channel, I urge you to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button and endeavor to like every of my videos you watch. Yeah, it's very important for YouTube algorithm, right? You could also share my videos across all of your socials, all of your social accounts. Share my videos across so your friends could actually also learn how to trade from seeing my work, right? So the objective of this channel, like I always said, is an educative channel to educate trading enthusiasts on how to trade forex and right, so we can see the trades, how they are looking, right? I'm not done yet with milking this market some more. I'm just going to pause this video and resume in a bit. Thank you.